So apparently, more details came out about what happened after CM Punk's appearance during the media scrum after All Out. I mean, we do know there was an altercation between him and the Bucks and such, which is why during Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland's appearance or time in the media scrum, you saw a security guard, run out of the room to the back because of something going on. And well, more information has come out. Apparently, and I'm going to try to get this correct, try to get some of these facts correct here, but the highlights that came out of it, the factoid highlights, if you will, that came out of it, is there was an altercation, a confrontation. CM Punk apparently threw the first punch. There was, fighting, brawling, legit brawling, fighting ensuing between Punk, the Young Bucks, and Omega. Omega was also involved. Ace Steel got involved. And apparently he started fighting. He threw a chair, I think, at Nick Jackson, and it hit him in the eye, flushed in the eye, bruised his eye, apparently. And apparently he was biting Omega on the arm and stuff before they got separated. So a lot of stuff. So basically, that's the gist of it. It's like Punk threw the first punch after being confronted about what he said, and everything just went crazy after that. And a lot of people that have talked about this so far have basically said it best. Tony Khan, and I said this in the last video, he needs to grow a set. He needs to grow a set and get control of this situation right now. Because this does not make AEW look good in any sort of manner. I mean, you could try to play it off on screen like, oh, nothing's wrong, everything's hunky-dory, whoop-de-doo, whoa, family, yay! But when you have, news sources, reliable news sources, and sometimes not so reliable news sources, all saying pretty much the same thing, all reporting the same thing occurring. And you know that one way or another, that information is going to get out to the main news outlets, the main news media, the public. It's not going to paint your company in a good light. It's not. And if they want to get this TV deal with Discovery that they're hoping for, that will get them better time on the air for shows like Rampage, maybe potential shows for Ring of Honor and stuff on the Turner Networks or the Discovery Networks now, if you want to look at it that way, then this is not going to help them. This is not going to help them. Now, I know some people might say, well, it might help them because David Zaslav likes unscripted, shows, and that is indeed true. But I don't even think David Zaslav would want anything to do with this, because if you don't know, in case you've been living under a rock, David Zaslav and his crew have made it abundantly clear they do not want to associate with any controversial figures or shows or whatever the case may be during this new regime. This is why you're seeing a lot of the movies and shows that have kind of had a focal point on wokeness and SJW-ness and all that being discarded, being cut, being removed, basically being ousted and all that. Because Zaslav and his crew apparently are sick and tired of it. They are sick and tired of it. And, if he gets wind of what's going on behind the scenes here with AEW, that doesn't help their cause any more than those shows helped their cause for what they did or for what they were supporting or believing in. Because what did Zaslav do? He cut them off. He got rid of them. And that's one thing that Tony Khan has, and I'm sure he has to be aware of. That this is risking any chance of them remaining on the Warner Brother Discovery Networks, formerly known as the Turner Networks. And every time I've heard somebody talk about, what's happened, update us on what's happened, one of the constant themes that everybody is always pointing at is this all started to happen, or at least we started to see the fruits of it happening, start to be bared after Cody left. Yeah, after Cody left for WWE, everything suddenly, I guess, started to show itself. Like the fruits that were being bared, started to grow, but they were becoming rotten fruits. Untasteable, uneatable fruits, if you will. Ever since Cody left. And a lot of people are saying that had Cody not left, maybe this wouldn't be happening, because they feel and believe Cody was like the linchpin. He was like the linchpin. He was the peacemaker, if you will, for AEW, to ensure that none of this kind of stuff would take place. But now that he's gone, that's obviously not the case anymore, because there's not a single person, in AEW right now that's stepping up to that plate to be that leader and say, hey, let's not fight here. Let's air out our differences. Let's see what we can do to work together as a team, as a family, as a unit. But, that doesn't seem to be the case right now, because no one's doing that. And I'm sure a lot of people are pretty much saying, well, the reason nobody's doing it is because, hey, they don't want to jeopardize their job, so they're staying out of it. This is something between, Phil Brooks, CM Punk, and the Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, Kenny Omega, and, Hangman Adam Page, and their association with Scott Colton, a.k.a. Colt Cabana. So I'm sure a lot of the talents are like, hey, we're just staying out of it. We're going to do our job, stay out of it, let them, face the consequences on their own. And that might be a smart move, but, but here's the thing. The consequences they could face eventually could have an at-most effect on everybody else in the company, in the future of the company as a whole. So, Tony Khan, he's got to get things together. It's like I said in the title of the video I did about this whole thing beforehand. Tony Khan's got a decision to make, and he might have to make a sacrifice at the same time. And what that decision is to step up, grow a set, show him who's boss, and possibly, as an example, make a sacrifice. Make an ultimate sacrifice of saying, something like, Punk, I love you, I'm a big fan of you, but if you're going to have this kind of attitude and be this toxic in our locker room, or divide our locker room, I can't have you here anymore. You're out. He may have to do that. Or he may have to tell the EVPs, hey, once you drop those trios titles, you're gone. I thank you for helping found this company, make this company what it is, but I can't have you here right now as long as Punk's here. So he's got to make a decision. And again, he's got to make a sacrifice along with that decision by showing that and again, that decision has to be him stepping up and showing, hey, I'm the boss, I say what goes, and that's it, that's final. And at the same time, he's got to make a visual, example. He's got to make a visual business impromptu, if not unpopular or popular sacrifice as well. And that could be cutting ties with any one of these individuals involved. Either it's cutting ties with CM Punk, having him lose and drop the belt to MJF at Arthur Ashe in the next, Arthur Ashe, I should say, not Arthur Ashe. What I did, well, not what I said before, but Arthur Ashe in a few weeks at Grand Slam. If it means doing that and then saying, Punk, you're gone, we can't have you here right now, then fine. Or if it means, for the EVPs to drop their trios titles to, let's say, some random team and all that at Arthur Ashe Stadium, so be it. And then say, hey, we can't have you here right now, you're gone. He's got to do something. He's got to do something to keep the peace. Heck, I know some people might say, well, the most logical thing is to find or suspend him. And that might be true. But, this isn't Eddie Kingston we're talking about. This is CM Punk. This is the Elite. This is Kenny Omega. This is, the Bucks, Matt and Nick Jackson, and even to an extent, Hangman Adam Page. These are people that even if you find them, millions of dollars, or you suspend them for 2 weeks to a month. That's not going to stop them from going online, going on video, or even when they come back, continuing where they left off. Because they are those kind of people. They are those kind of people. It's like you think you've taught them a lesson, but all you've done is fuel the fire even more. And, this is a situation where he has to do, he has to do something that he's probably going to regret doing. But right now, he's in a situation where he has no choice. He has to make a sacrifice, an example of one of four of these individuals. He has to do that. He has to go and do that. And if not, then it's, as long as you have them around and you don't have them face any consequences for what they've done, it doesn't paint your company in a good light, and it ensures that any opportunity you have at a future TV deal that you want to hope to get next year, that goes up in smoke. It pretty much ensures that. And again, this is where he needs to step up. I mean, I know that Ace Steel was also involved, and yeah, he should face consequences too. In fact, if I'm Tony Khan, I look at Ace Steel as being more expendable than these other guys and say, Ace, I'm parting ways with you. And if he asks why, and he says, because you attacked someone physically by biting them on the arm and stuff, so you're out. I can't have you here. He can get rid of him. He will be the most expendable. And by getting rid of someone like Ace Steel, who's a close friend, the trainer of CM Punk, by getting rid of him and then telling Punk, I did this as an example, not just to you, but to everybody else, but mostly to you. Well, what he could do is what I'm trying to say, let me correct myself, is he could take Punk aside and say, I got rid of him as an example to you that you might be the most sought after, professional wrestler and, polarizing wrestler in the business today, but you're not above me, you're not above this company, and as far as I'm concerned, as long as I'm the boss, as long as I'm running things, and you work for me, and you hold that title, you do what I say. And that's what and if he has to do that, he has to do it. If he has to visually make Ace Steel an example in front of Punk, make that, then so be it. Same with the Bucks. If the Bucks are good friends, ends with, let's say, Brandon Cutler, I think, or whatever his name is. The camera guy, Brandon Settler, or whatever. I'm sure they'd be upset if he got released too, right? So they could say, Tony could say, hey, Brandon, I'm letting you go. And if, Kenny and, the Bucks wonder why, and he says, I'm doing this because just like I did with Ace Steel by releasing him, I'm releasing Brandon as an example to you that you're not above me. I'm the boss. I'm the one that calls the shots. And if you don't want the same thing to happen to you, you will go into that locker room right now with Punk, meet me there as well, and you will shake hands, and you will put this behind you, and be professionals. And if he has to do something like that, he has to do something like that. I'm not saying he will, and all that, but if he has to, make an example of some people by letting them go who have close ties to both parties, and been close friends with them for a long time, then so be it. And then what he needs to do after that is come out, have a big old talent meeting, have the Elite, have the Punk standing alongside him, and basically tell him, look, I released Punk's close friend and trainer, Ace Steel. I released their close friend, Brandon Stutler. I released them, even though I never wanted to, because I want to make it perfectly clear that nobody is above this company, that I'm the boss, and what I say goes, what my team says goes, and if you have a problem with that, you can just leave this company right now. There's the door. That's what he needs to do. Because like I said in the last video, he has a decision to make, and he probably has a sacrifice to make along with it, and that sacrifice could be, after getting more details, releasing someone close to CM Punk like Ace Steel as a visual example to him, like, hey, if I'm willing to release him, even though I know he's a close friend with you, and I know it will upset you, if I'm willing to do that, to make an example of the fact that I'm running things, I'm in charge, and as long as you wear that belt, and you are under contract to me, and everything, you do what I say, I'm the boss, and so be it. And if he has to do the same thing with the Elite by letting someone like Brandon Cutler, or even someone like Don Callis go, who's, very close with them, and say, hey, I'm doing this as an example to you guys to show that, hey, you might be EVPs, but I'm the boss. I'm the one that has the final say and all that. So if you don't get your act together, the same thing can happen to you. And then acknowledge that to the rest of the roster in a meeting. If he has to do that kind of stuff to get it, through everybody's head that this kind of BS will not be tolerated, then so be it. So be it. He has to do it. He has no choice but to do it. And again, I'm not saying he will, but something has to be done. Something has to be done about this. And if part of the punishment for Punk, if Punk, doesn't like that, if that's something that has to happen, and he doesn't like it, and everything, then fine. If, Tony Khan wants to say, okay, I won't fire him, but you're going to drop that belt at Arthur Ashe Stadium at Grand Slam to MJF, and you're never going to compete for any title ever again in this company. You won't. All you're going to do is be enhancement talent now. If he has to do that, then so be it. The thing is, he has to make an example. He has to step up, show he's a boss, show he's grown up. He has to differentiate himself from being a fan and, being a promoter, a businessman. He has to basically, put his foot down. He needs to grow up. And not only grow up, he has to basically make it abundantly clear to his locker room, to his talent and everything, and even those involved in the situation, that he's the one that calls the shots and that this kind of crap will not be tolerated anymore. And if he has to make sacrificial examples to make that abundantly clear, like letting a Don Callis or a Brandon Cutler go that's close friends with the Elite, or let someone like a Ace Steel go who's close friends with CM Punk, as an example of, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this BS, and it doesn't matter who you are. I'm the boss. I have the final say. You're not above me, and you're not above this company. Then so be it. Then so be it. Now, again, people could say that when Cody was around, this kind of stuff, or not was around, but if Cody was still around, this kind of stuff probably wouldn't have happened. But who's to say it wouldn't have? And maybe that's why Cody left. It wasn't because he felt like maybe he did everything he could in AEW, felt dissatisfied with his position because all this other talent was coming in, but maybe because he saw the writing on the wall, like, this company's heading down a very familiar dark path that another company that was on the Turner Networks went down, and that's not a good sign. I gotta go. Maybe he saw that, and maybe, that's why he left. We can't really say. But the point is, despite how you look at it, everybody is right. Cody got out at the right time. He did get out at the right time, but they also are right that it seems when he was there, things didn't really escalate that much, if at all. I mean, yeah, they had the moments, but nothing to this extent, especially on the verge of trying to get a new TV deal. So, I don't know, and I don't know, whether or not this would have happened if he was still under contract to AEW or not, but, a lot of people believe and feel that the likelihood of something like this escalating to the point that it has wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have. And, I know a lot of other people are saying that I know a lot of other people, what I'm trying to say, I know a lot of people have said, a lot of people have said that ever since Triple H took the reins over WWE, in the capacity that he has, it's thrown Tony Khan and most of AEW off their game, because it's like, okay, now what do we do? It's like, now we're going into, because like I said in another video prior to this that I did a couple weeks ago, Tony Khan's about to be in a competitive war he's never been in before. So, realizing that and seeing that, Tony Khan should have known that he needs to get things together. He needs to be ready. Now, has he shown signs that he's trying to get all the right pieces together? Absolutely. But, people are saying that ever since Hunter, came into the power that he has now, that it's throwing Tony Khan off his game, because, like I said, Tony probably was looking at someone like a Johnny Gargano, looking at someone like a Killer Cross, aka Karrion Kross, someone like a Dakota Kai, someone like a Hit Row to an extent. It was probably, and even a Dexter Lumis, if you will. It was probably you're thinking, oh, these guys, they're all elite bound. They're going to be under my roof real soon. Let me get some storylines all set up and ready for them for when they arrive. And then all of a sudden, they show back up on WWE television, and any plans he had for them, any storyline plans he had for them, go out the window. Because now he's thrown for a loop. So yeah, a lot of people can say it's the Triple H effect, sprinkling outside of WWE and affecting a place like AEW, because it basically altered Tony Khan's plans for a lot of the talent that now went back to WWE. It's, whatever, but here's the thing, whatever the case might be, whatever the reasoning is for all the dissent, for all the downward spiralness that's been going on behind the scenes in AEW, with CM Punk, with the Bucks, with Hangman, with Scott Colton, Colt Cabana, and Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa, whatever the reasoning is, Tony Khan needs to step up right now. He needs to step up and basically show each and every one of them that he's the boss. He runs things. He has the final say. And that if he has to make visual examples by sacrificing certain people to unemployment, then so be it. If he has to sacrifice an Ace Steel, a Don Callis, or a Brandon Cutler, then so be it. If he's got to do that, knowing the close ties and friendships they have with each party, to make an example of, hey, I'm not going to tolerate this bullshit anymore, and you get your act together and be professionals and put this behind you. If he doesn't do that, then, like I said before, the future looks very bleak for AEW. And that TV deal, that they want next year from Warner Bros. Discovery on the Turner Networks, goes up in smoke. And they might have to end up starting to look for a new home. Or, yeah, basically they might have to end up looking, not starting to look. But yeah, they might have to end up starting to look for a new home. That's what I'm trying to say. This is what happens when you do things unscripted, guys. But, you stumble on your words a little bit. But yeah, that TV deal will go up in smoke. And they're going to have to find a new place to showcase the programming. If he doesn't get this crap together. Because again, you think David Zaslav, if he hears this, he's going to be happy about this? Oh, hell no. Because this will fall in line exactly with what he's trying to get away from. That's what it does. It falls in line with that. And he's not going to want to deal with that. He's not going to want to associate with that. So, yeah, Tony Khan, I don't know if you watch anybody's videos, but if you do, do us a favor. Do us a favor as one of many and many millions of wrestling fans that support your product. Do us a favor, TK. Grow up. It's time to grow up. Get out of your fantasy realm and everything of being a fan. Get out of your fantasy realm of everybody gets along. It's time to grow up. Be a wrestling promoter. Put your foot down and let them know this will not be tolerated anymore. And if you have to make examples by letting certain people close to both parties go, then so be it. But do us a favor, TK. Grow up. It's time to grow up and wake up. Grow up and wake up out of this fantasy world that you're living in. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below. Live chat during the premiere. Super thanks are available after the video has premiered. But give me your thoughts on it, guys. What are your thoughts on this entire situation? Let me know down below and in the live chat during the premiere. Super chats and super stickers will be open during the live chat. And until then, guys, I will talk to y'all later.